Welcome. I hope your belief in the law of attraction is growing. And today I want to talk about how we can get techniques or meditation to be more effective and to be more enjoyable so that we can actually bring the things that we want into our life faster and with less anxiety. When you first get into the law of attraction, and I would argue that even, when you think that you've got a good grasp of it, there are going to be times where you might question yourself and you might think, am I doing it right? Am I really doing this meditation properly? Am I using this technique properly? Can I tweak it a little bit to make it more effective? And all those thoughts that we have, all those worries about doing it right or not doing it right, are actually kind of getting in the way of the feeling that you're supposed to have when you're doing them. The purpose of all of these techniques is to get into the frequency of whatever it is that you're trying to manifest. You want to align with that. You want to raise your vibration, so to speak, so that you are better aligned with the things that you want. And every time that you worry about doing a technique properly, or when you're starting to do a meditation and you're having trouble in the beginning really letting go and getting deep into it because you're worried about little sounds, or you're worried about how you're breathing and you're fidgeting and there's little distractions, all those things are actually what's preventing you from just letting go and getting into the frequency of being able to accept the fact that you are already what you want. And we truly can be anything that we want if we just allow ourselves to relax and to let it come to us and to kind of fall into the right vibration or align with it, however you want to look at it. Let's say you want to be super wealthy, a millionaire, let's say. Does the millionaire realistically, wake up every morning and say, I'm glad I'm a millionaire, or go to sleep worrying if they are a millionaire or aren't a millionaire? I'm sure that there might be some out there that do, but the majority of them don't, because that's what's natural to them, right? That's their life. It's normal for them. So there's no anxiety there. And so that means that they're naturally aligned with that. And it works the same with everything. I want to kind of stop saying, everything that you're trying to manifest, because the more you try to manifest realistically, the more lack you're kind of exhibiting or that you're putting out there, right? It's really more of an acceptance and aligning with the vibration by being able to let go and relax. And this is, the hardest thing to accept for a lot of people, particularly beginners, right? People that are just getting into this. And this is another reason why sometimes it's easier for people who don't know anything about the law of assumption, the law of attraction, to manifest than those who are really into it. Because the more you get into it and the more techniques you're reading about, right, there's just so much, mental, there's so much clutter, in your head with like techniques and am I doing it right? And this person says to do this, that person, says to do it another way. And in reality, every technique works, right? So it's a matter of being able to let go and allow yourself to just relax and feel at peace with what it is that you want. And, hearing that, right? Letting go, let go and let God, or, just be at peace with it and align with your, with the vibration of the thing that you want. A lot of the times that's not what we want to hear, right? We want to hear, do, steps 1 to 3, and then boom, your manifestation will come to you, right? And it just doesn't work that way. it can work that way for, for some people. Anything is possible, right? But for the, majority of the time, it's just not that cut and dry. There's so much of this that just cannot be explained. And that's why we found terms like raising your vibration and get into the frequency, because these are like the closest ways of describing what you need to do. But there's no like textbook on this, right? There's no hard, way to define the law of attraction, in my opinion. And that's the hardest thing for people to realize, in the beginning. And that's very normal. I was like that too when I first started learning about all this stuff. It was all about, what does this technique offer? How can I do this technique? Am I doing this technique correctly? Should I be meditating more? And these are all natural things to be thinking in the beginning, right? But it's only when I stopped worrying so much about how I'm doing the techniques and when I'm doing the techniques, what I'm supposed to feel when I'm doing the techniques. It's only when I stopped really worrying about all those things that, this whole thing became way more enjoyable. And I started to see things truly being attracted, to me, the things that I wanted. And I'll use one example. Meditation is something that, I was always kind of interested in. And I hadn't, in the past, right, before I really started meditating, quote unquote, properly or more often, I would worry every time I would do it. I would worry if I'm doing it correctly. I would be too focused on how I'm breathing, what I'm supposed to be feeling, the sounds. If there was a little sound that was around me, it would really throw me off. And even just sitting upright or laying down, depending on how you like to meditate. But, my body would be incredibly restless. And there are times now when that still happens, right? But I've learned to accept all those things and be able to just ignore them, or to know that it's completely fine to experience those things. And just being okay with the process of how things are going, like ride the wave of the technique, of the meditation, just do it. And I would say if you do it and you remove the expectation, from it, that's when you're going to really see the best results. And that's when you're going to feel the best. I know that when I'm meditating, if I go into it, thinking about a certain thing that I want to get out of it, in a way that's kind of needy, where it's like, I'm meditating right now because I really, really want to feel this or that thing. That's when I start to get, little, twinges of like anxiety while I'm doing it, right? And it's the same thing with techniques. You can feel this when you're doing the techniques, like, oh, shouldn't I be feeling this by now? Or I've been doing this for like X amount of time. I should be feeling this by now. And just, those thoughts are what's kind of keeping you back from just truly letting go and experiencing what you're supposed to be experiencing. I know that, releasing expectation from the technique or meditations in the beginning can be kind of tough, right? Because, you get into the law of attraction. A lot of people are into this, let's be honest, because they want things that they currently don't have or that they can't see, even though it's out there and they really do have it, right? If it's a very deep subject to get into right now, but in the infinite variation of possibilities, right? Everything is already there. But what people can't see in their 3D reality is realistically what they're after. So going into a technique without expectations is the tough thing is hard in the beginning, but it's what's required. And one of the best things that I learned to do to make, to truly make meditation or even any technique that I like to do more effective is to just kind of silence myself in the beginning and to really, I don't know if you would call it grounding yourself, but just to be still, and really silence your thoughts as much as possible. And the way I do that is just by, I like to close my eyes, but you don't have to close your eyes. Some people like to focus on a point, a specific point, or like a candle burning, or on the tip of their nose. But I prefer closing my eyes personally. And in the beginning, I might take a couple like deep breaths. I'll breathe in, hold it for like a few seconds, 3 seconds, and then release. Breathe in, hold it for a few seconds, and then release. But beyond those first few breaths that are pretty controlled, I later don't focus on how I'm breathing because I feel like that kind of, stresses me out a little bit. And I just prefer to breathe naturally. And that's what gets me in the most relaxed state. So I will start by closing my eyes. I'll take a few deep breaths just to start. And then after that, I allow myself to breathe completely naturally. And what I'll do is I will focus on the breath coming in. So I'll breathe in. And I kind of like to just imagine the air coming up, through my nose. And then as I'm breathing out, I'll just say thank you. And that's it. And I just keep doing that. And I might not say the thank you part for every single breath because I'm just feeling so relaxed. But I will do it most of the time. So I'll breathe in. Thank you. And I'll say it in my head. I don't necessarily say it out loud, although you can. You can say it out loud or in your head. It doesn't matter. And I found that does two things. It allows me to really just be present because I'm focusing on the breath, but not stressing out about it because it's not like a structured breathing technique. I'm just breathing naturally. But my attention is on the breath coming in. And then on the breath coming out, on releasing the breath, I'm saying thank you. And that's, the gratitude portion of it. And I have found that has been incredibly helpful. And it just makes you feel really good. And feeling good, gratitude, and just putting out that feeling of being grateful, it's really going to help you align with any frequency or vibration, however you want to think about it, but anything that you want to attract into your life. And it's so incredibly simple. We just breathe in, and on the exhale, you say thank you. And beyond those two first breaths, or 2 or 3 first breaths, just to kind of get grounded in the beginning and, prepare yourself. You're not worrying about how long you're breathing in, how many seconds. You're not worrying about if you're holding your breath before you exhale. You're not worrying about doing it properly or anything like that. And just, riding that wave or just going with the flow of your natural breath is going to allow you to get into such a deep state of relaxation. And that has been incredibly beneficial for me. And it allows you to know that you are okay right now, which is such an important thing to always realize. Being present is something that it's talked about, but I feel it's overlooked and it's not valued as much as it should be. People talk about being present and how powerful it is, but realistically, it's the techniques of how to manifest that are kind of more popular, and people kind of want to hear those things more than just being present and being okay in the moment. And, that's fine, but it's when you truly realize and allow yourself to be still and to know that everything's okay, and to ride the wave, of your natural breath, and to ride the wave of gratitude that your vibration is truly going to align with everything that you want. And it's just so powerful that I wish more people would do it. And, in the beginning, little sounds might be distracting to you. You might, hear something and it might throw you off. You might be fidgeting a lot again, and that might throw you off. But it's important to just always remember, that you're doing it right. Just, by doing it, you are doing it right. And if the body feels restless, you can adjust yourself and just keep going. If you hear a sound, you can just hear the sound and let it go. I was recently, I took a little trip, and I was at a beach, and the beach was pretty calm in the beginning. There was nobody there. So I thought, okay, this is perfect. I'm going to find this log that had washed up. It was dry, right? So I was like, I'm going to sit on this log and I'm going to meditate here for a few minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. I'm just going to let it go and see how long it goes. It was the perfect temperature, not too much sun or anything like that. So I could sit out there comfortably. It wasn't too hot. It wasn't too cold. Everything was perfect. And there was nobody else around. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to meditate. And I started doing it. And then I don't know how many minutes in, because I lost track of time. But eventually I started hearing a dog bark. And then I heard, a little kid in the distance. And then I heard the parents of the little kid. And then I heard the dog bark again. And it was this, before I knew it, one family became two families. And, the beach I could start to notice was getting more and more crowded. And what I did each time I heard a sound was I just accepted the sound. If you can just hear the sound and just let it go. Hear the sound and let it go, and know that the sound is normal. The sounds are supposed to be there, right? If we lived in a vacuum without any sound, it would be pretty depressing. So when I was started to hear these sounds, I would hear the dog bark, and then I would hear, the kid calling the dog, and then the parents calling the kid. It got to a point where every time I would hear that sound, I would just smile naturally. It wasn't a forced smile. It was enjoyable, to just hear those little sounds, and then they would just go away. I would hear it and then they would just go away. And then it got to a point eventually where all the sounds faded away because I wasn't fighting with any of the sounds, right? And so it got to the point where they were still around me and arguably way more sound than just at the beginning, because there was more and more people eventually that came to the beach. But I really didn't notice it. And that's when I was, getting into a deeper stage of the meditation, and I was truly enjoying it. I could hear the waves, I could hear the seagulls, and then I could hear people kind of in the background, but not really. It was muffled. And I wasn't trying to focus on anything else but my breath and, saying thank you. And then every time I would hear a sound that would really pop up into my consciousness or that drew my attention, I would just listen to it and let it go. And a lot of the times I just smiled because it was actually a very pleasant sound. And you can do this in any environment that you're in. I've done this in the middle of a city, right, where there was a car alarm that went off and, cars honking, a siren that went by, and it was the same experience. And that's because I learned to stop fighting with my body, and I learned to stop fighting with my environment, and just accept it. And it's such an incredibly powerful thing that you can do. And before this gets any longer of an explanation. If you have any questions about it, I feel free to leave a comment down below and ask any questions. But I'm just going to run through the steps one last time because it's so easy, and this is going to help every manifestation technique that you are trying, and it's going to make meditation in general more enjoyable, and it's going to bring you into alignment with the proper vibration and frequency that's required for your manifestation to be attracted to you. So here are the steps again that I like to do. It's just a very simple meditation technique, and it's going to train the mental muscle, right, to be able to manifest, to be able to meditate for longer periods of time and to get deeper and deeper. Okay, so we're going to take a couple deep breaths in the beginning just to get grounded. You get comfortable, sitting or laying down, doesn't matter. And then you're going to just fall into a normal pattern of breathing, and you're going to focus your attention on the breath coming in through the nose. And then on the exhale, you just say thank you. So it's going to come in through the nose. Thank you. And you can say it out loud or in your head. It doesn't matter. And again, any sounds you hear, you don't fight with them, and you just listen to them and let them go. And then if you need to shift your body, you do that. So I hope this has been helpful. I know that if you actually do this for even just a few minutes here and there, a few times a week, or even every day, you're going to see incredible results, and you're going to actually start to look forward to doing this more and more. I hope this helps.